Hello guys, it's me Mario. Today we're gonna be covering Halls of Atonement 20, Tyrannical, Bursting, Volcanic, Tormented. Honestly, not the worst combination of affixes. Feel like this week was quite decent to push. Sure, Bursting and Volcanic are sort of determined from like super big pulls. Well, Volcanic not really, but Bursting is. But as a priest, I feel like we did get advantage here this week, whereas we could just mass dispel the Bursting. So yeah, I feel like it was a good week for all the priests. Whether you're a Shadow or Disc, probably you've noticed a little bit more invites than usual. But yeah, the tricky part here is we gotta fit this mass dispel into our rotation. That's the first thing, and also second thing is, well, mass dispel is actually extremely mana inefficient, so it costs a lot of mana and doesn't really provide us with any healing, so therefore it just kind of like slows down this whole idea of preserving mana that we have until we get the first like anima power that gives us mana. So that's maybe something to pay attention to this week. It is a little bit sketchy, but that being said, it's not that big of a deal. You can always just like stop a little bit, and yeah. Also, interesting composition here, as you might notice as well. Like we're playing with two demon hunters, a hunter and a warrior tank. Very unusual combination. Not a lot of synergy. We don't have bloodlust. We don't have decurs. Just overall, not the best. But these are like friends. Like we're playing together, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? You don't need optimal compositions to time 20s. That's basically what I'm getting at. It's quite relieving. It's these keys, as long as you have a lot of damage, are surprisingly not that bad to time. Alright, so moving forward. As I said, no vent here, so we do not have the luxury of taking that nice friendly gargoyle, but we do have quite a lot of cleave damage, which means these packs just melt, which is really cool for this. First you see here a dome for thrashing. Thrash is a very hard hitting ability. It's not as strong as it was last season, and there you see like a very nice fear interrupted by me, and then a good stun, and then a neat little darkness cast. And just like overall, I feel like in this group everybody's a pretty good player, so despite suboptimal composition and despite this being a 20, we've kind of managed to hold our ground. Here I ran out of mana. That was very scary. I was wondering if we'll make it through, to be honest. If there was like just one more tick, I feel like we would lose somebody, but luckily, as I said, this is why damage matters. This is why I don't like when people say, oh, but damage doesn't matter. Yes, it matters, because if he got to cast another trash, we would be dead now. So yeah, sometimes the best defensive ability is just dealing a lot of damage. I know that sounds completely insane to say, but it is true.
One of the more ruthless Marsworn draws close. Be ready.
I always say, guys, this guy is very dangerous. You gotta be careful here. Of course, this ability hurts. This is why I'm saving my Rupture. And I was gonna say I assume I'm gonna use it now, and I did. So that's very good. Making humongous shields on myself, toothed in my tank. He got scared anyway, rightfully so. And we proceed to keep fighting this guy. You just need to do a lot of spot healing here, which of course isn't our best trait. It's not what we excel at all. In fact, I would say we're probably one of the worst spot healers, but it is what it is, you know. Sometimes you just have to do it, right? There's no choice. Like, I gotta heal tank, and it is what it is. Could have pain subbed maybe, but I feel like in that case it would be a waste. Alright, pick up your mana, anima power, and we go. Quick hit, and go. So far, I haven't done the most damage. Like if you look at like my overall 2.8, not bad to be honest, but not good either. It's kind of like medium. But same as last week, we had to do a lot of explosives that would hurt our damage. This week we also gotta do what do you call it, mass dispels, which to be fair in most cases doesn't hurt their damage, but if there's like a pull where certain things die faster, then you still gotta cast mass dispel, and that kind of like throws you off your rhythm. As I said, it's not as bad as the previous week, not even nearly as much, but it definitely is a little bit of a pain in the ass. Alright, so this is just like very good pulling here. I really like these pulls. He's not waiting for us to kill Shard. He just keeps pulling. That very good tanking. Just very good pulls. I love this. Like this group really. They kind of adopted me as their healer, and they're like friends that we've been playing together for a while. So it's been like really fun to play with them. Despite like I'm a person that doesn't like, I'm a little bit triggered by like suboptimal compositions. Like I feel like if you're playing a game, like why make things hard on yourself? You know what I mean? Like why do you make things more difficult for yourself? But at the same time, you know, you're playing for fun. So if you're having fun, why the hell not, right? And I did have fun with them, and we also managed to time some big keys. I'll upload some of them later as well, and this is, you know, as I said, only my second 20, more to come, so don't worry. But yeah, Tyrannical week, you know, notorious for that difficulty because the bosses get super boosted, but to be honest, it wasn't that bad. Oh yeah, okay, I remember this, I think. Oh, this is gonna be a yikes. I believe that we're gonna wipe here, if I remember correctly.
Run away.
Yeah.
Curse of obliteration.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see. It's looking good so far. I should have paint supped him. Yeah, okay. I give him a paint sup. He uses his trinket.
Run away.
I couldn't get that radiance off, which really kind of cucks me there. More healing. Yeah, this looks pretty bad. Yep. Alright, I wasn't wrong. But to be fair, it's not that bad. Like we've almost killed everything. Like I probably could have done more here. Like if I could have committed Dome. But the thing is, I didn't really know where to place Dome because we all kind of scattered in our own directions. And like if I place Dome underneath the boss, the mini boss, the Tormented, I feel like we would die to Seismic. So I feel like overall I've done as much as I could. Like pretty decent effort. As I said, like of course could have maybe committed Dome there as well, but at the time it didn't really seem like a valuable option. Now in retrospective it's easy to say that, you know, it might have been. But yeah, just in general, I don't know what you guys think, but you know, if you're playing a warrior tank or disc, let me know like how you feel about what I'm about to say. But don't you guys feel like warrior and discipline priest are kind of like the worst possible combination? Because like a warrior really does not have a lot of self-sustain. Like their self-heal is not that big, and then like discipline priest likes these tanks that are simply sustainable by themselves. Like we don't like to do spot healing on tank. We like to kind of like just deal damage and like provide sustained slight healing through atonements rather than just like sitting there and spamming Shadowlands. So once again, composition a bit of a yikes, but results are there. Alright, moving on from that wipe, pretty good recovery, and we head into Shard. I'm not sure if we'll pull this into Shard or if we are going to kill this and then go for Shard separately. We'll see. I think it might be like a chain pull situation. Oh right, I remember. Yeah. Oh, whoops. That's a pretty big misstep by me, by the way, because this also screwed up our percentage. I like trying to collect anima orbs. I accidentally pulled the gargoyle, and here, you know, as I said, we don't have end tier, so we're just forced to kill this guy. And this is like so inefficient in terms of time, because this guy has like 1,000,000 HP and gives only 1.5%, so like it's probably the worst mob in this dungeon to kill. You really don't want to kill these guys, and they're not made for killing, right? They're made for you to pick them up with Ventir ability, so it makes sense. They should probably buff a percentage they give, in my opinion, but yeah. Alright, so we're heading into Shard. As always, I open up with Rupture. One thing I probably should have done is cast the Radiance before Rupture for that extra Atonement healing there, but
Curse of
it's not
Obliteration.
the end of the world. And here casting Boon as always. Just booning around.
Siphon Rush.
It's a pretty strong ability. It's crazy how much damage that deals actually. It's pretty insane. Really cool ability though. So honestly, like it feels more awkward to use than Mind Games was, but I definitely feel it like Mind Games felt like it really suits our playstyle. But it was kind of underwhelming, especially in M+. Like it was a really weak ability. And here I suit this Stoneborn because I'm like paranoid about pulling extra stuff at this point. And yeah, here you just gotta pay attention to tank so he doesn't die to bleeds from the dogs, right? And then Loyal Beast needs to be interrupted. I'm probably gonna do a knock at some point just to kind of like get the pressure off of him. Yeah, there we go. That was a decent knock. Now I'm careful not to pull the Stoneborn, so once again I'm suiting him. Mind suit, right? And yeah, just keep going. Penance, Mind Seer, Smiting. This guy goes into Rapid Fire. Probably could have feared there, but I don't know, I just probably wasn't paying that much attention to it, and yeah. Just clean up. Pretty easy, pretty clean. All good. We didn't struggle even one bit with like pulls. Nor with the bosses, to be fair, as far as I remember at least. We'll see though. Because we've done a couple of hauls, right? And like we've done like I think 19 before, then we tried like a 21, then we failed, and then we did 20 or something like that. So like I'm kinda, you know, mixed up about what we did and what we didn't do. Because we've done like 3 in a row or something, so yeah. So we had like a pretty good idea of what we want to do in a dungeon at least, which is always helpful. You should always though, like if you're trying to push high keys, you always should have an idea of what's going on. That is the purpose of routes and why people have these things planned, you know. They don't just go in and improvise, you know. They know exactly where they're using their CDs and what they're doing. Alright, so we go into this Radiance. Honestly, like on this boss there's almost nothing to heal. What a weird boss to heal, to be honest. Like it's just like so it really feels like there is no damage going. It's just kind of like people either die or they don't, as Hawk dies, and then Hunter tries to revive him and actually manages to do so. Like one more thing we don't have in this group is combat res. Which is why I think I'll probably switch to engineering on this character. I kinda like I want to say I kinda have to, but I don't have to, but I kinda want to, because honestly enchanting has been so useless. Like it's only good if you're lazy to go to either Oribos or the, but yeah, like in terms of money you don't really make much. Like sure, you can disenchant items and you get the materials, but like selling them really provides so little that it's barely worth it, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, we're not here to talk about economy, we're just here to talk about Halkias. But I just really don't know what to say. Like I'm just trying to deal as much damage as I can, and I'm doing a good job. 2.4k without Lust, that's a very respectable damage for a disc. That's pretty good. Like just smiting, solacing, penancing, mind blasting, and then of course Boon of the Ascended whenever you can. Does the trick. That's our DPS rotation. Then dodge these things. One more thing you can do is of course you can what do you call it? You can grip somebody if they get feared, like if they walk out of circle, and you can also, as Hawk dies again there, and you can also dispel them. So like fear happens in sequence. So as when somebody is out of circle, what happens is they get fear, 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 fear. So like if they get fear and you instantly dispel them, they'll have about a second free to like blink back in or something like that. So like it is possible to actually save somebody that gets feared. But yeah, pretty clean so far. 5 deaths, that was our first wipe. 2 deaths here by DH, not a big deal. Moving on, pretty good timing. 16 minutes left for 3 bosses on Tyrannical. But we're pretty much done with packs, almost 81%. This is why this dungeon is a bit weird in terms of like the percentage. It's like in the first half you kind of clear most of the dungeon, it feels like, and then you just kind of have like 3 boss fights and that's it. It feels like that. It's not really like that, but yeah. And yeah, then this boss, we open up with Lust, of course. I'm just spamming my abilities, as always, just dealing damage, trying to be useful. And then I open up with the Radiance, and then Mindsear the adds. It's a lot of damage, don't forget Mindsear. It's a pretty good ability. Don't underestimate it. I get stunned. Well, everybody gets stunned. We kill all the little adds, which is pretty important actually. And then yeah, just keep going, deal as much damage as you can. My Shadow Fiend was on cooldown. Usually I would use Shadow Fiend, like if I know I'm gonna struggle with healing, I will use Shadow Fiend as a defensive ability in combination with either Rupture or Radiance. But in this boss fight I actually don't think I need extra healing more than I have, so what I would do normally is just use it when the Lust is up, so I can get that extra haste for my Shadow Fiend to hit faster. Because Shadow Fiend actually benefits from your haste, right? So, I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really like confirmed this. It's just like seems like something logical, but I do think that haste increases your like Shadow Fiend attack speed as well, meaning you get more mana back and meaning you do more damage, right? Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Not 100% sure, but sure. I'd be okay. What I mean is like I'd be very surprised if that's not how it works. Let me rephrase. All right, so here the ads. Honestly, one more thing I could have done now in retrospective. I could have tried to purge the Wicked more, but I feel like that would be a waste because like, they don't live long enough for me to really. And here we got kind of like in a really awkward situation, so I popped both my defensives, right, both Desperate Prayer and Fade, and then I barely lived, just barely, and I don't manage to kill them because they were standing in Blood Torrent, and that's like one of the disadvantages as a priest. We don't have good defensives for ourselves, so. You know, for example, if I was a paladin, I could just bubble there and walk in and just clear them all, but, you know, alas, I'm not, so I actually have to play the video game instead of just being a dumbass and, like, doing whatever. Crazy, right? And here, big hit on me, so you'll notice I pain subbed myself. You might be thinking, was that really needed? I actually think it was. I'm, like, pretty convinced that if I didn't, and if I didn't pop Rupture, I would have died. And as you can see here, the tank dies as well. The damage just gets overwhelming at this point from all the adds. But we kill the boss. Not very cleanly towards the end, but cleanly enough. And we move on. I res the tank. Everything looks okay so far. 12 minutes to spare for two tormentors, mini bosses, whatever you want to call them, and 2 bosses, and then like two rooms worth of packs. Seems a bit tight, but I think it'll be cozy enough. With this guy, you know, I told you guys this is probably the second hardest Tormentor. Not that scary though, especially with as much defensives as we have here, with all the darknesses and shouts that we have. Probably should have used some sort of CD here, like I could have used either Boon or... Well, yeah, I could have just used Boon. Maybe not worth it to be honest, because, yeah. Actually, it was probably worth it now that I think about it, because like we're really good on AoE damage, so I don't need to use it on packs necessarily. So it's probably more value to use it on the
well fought. Now claim its power as
single target guy. It's a bit of a shame that we get this haste buff this late though. That kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah, with these guys, everything is pretty straightforward. We'll have Wild Spirits plus PI. Like, I just want to say, pay attention how, like, PIing Hunter on the Wild Spirits is always, like, so strong. Like, look at how these guys are melting. They're disappearing as his numbers go up. Like, 32k damage, 39k damage. Tank doing a good job of keeping them in the Wild Spirits. And, yeah, this hunter is really, really good. Like, they're really good at dealing damage, just, like... 40k damage on a pack, pretty good. Yeah, it's with PI, but still pretty strong numbers. And here with this pack, there's only one thing you want to be careful about, and that is mostly the fact that it's a tight space and it's not always easy to dodge these floor circles. Plus there are these dark blades which will do thrusts, and there's 2 of them, so make sure that if you do end up going close, in case like this, so see if you do end up going close, make sure that you're behind them. This is why I switched my camera angle, and this is why I'm looking like very closely, because I want to make sure I'm behind them. I don't want to go in front of them. And I've dealt some nice damage here as well, like 6k, that's pretty good for a healer. I've matched my hunter, almost. At some point. But yeah, here I missed tank with the Mass Dispel, but that's not that big of a deal. Here we do the Frost guy. With this guy, you just want to be careful. This dot is kind of annoying. It hurts a lot, so just make sure you provide spot healing for that person that's unlucky enough to get the ability on them. And of course dodge the frontal, dodge the swirlies. Nothing extraordinary, everything is pretty straightforward. Cast your abilities, deal damage. That's all we can do. You can see here, because I need to do a lot of spot healing, this is what I mean when I say spot healing really kinda like cucks us as a class. But like, look at my damage, it's only 1.2k, whereas my like averagely on the pool I would do like around 2k, so this is one of those like lower points, and that is because I was forced to spam a lot of Shadowlands, unfortunately. But that's just how it is, that's not, you know, that's necessary and needed. Here it will, usually we would have these 2 loyal Stoneborns, and then we would delete this boss, but unlucky for us, we don't have a Ventir, so we're heading into this like pretty handicapped, but really in this boss, like, there's not much to say about this boss, so I'm probably just gonna be silent and let you guys watch the fight. If you know, if you don't want, like, if you know what to do in this boss fight, you can also skip ahead for the next room and the last boss. There's not much to say, like, literally just soak the ghosts into the lanterns, keep your tank up, and since we don't have an interrupt, we're not part of interrupt rotation, so there's nothing to do there. Just deal damage, and of course if somebody screws up, interrupt, or if somebody gets hit by stuff, heal them. But you really, nobody should be dying here. Like, you should not be losing people here unless they're playing like super bad.
Anima Fountain.
Their pain shall enlighten me.
Anima Fountain.
Their pain shall enlighten you.
Anima Fountain.
Their pain shall enlighten you.
Anima Fountain.
pain shall enlighten you. You must face your punishment. My sword leads me.
And now that that's done, you can notice here in this room how I'm just trying to dot as much things up as I can. Heal people, because these guys actually do end up dealing damage. They're not this room isn't as free as some people think. Like, I see a lot of times players just kind of relax for this room and then somebody ends up dying, and that's very tricky because you cannot release and come back, so we're forced to use a combat res or just play this with one player less, which like slows down things significantly, since this guy has a lot of HP, Mr. Steven Cigar. So you gotta be careful with in this room. Like, don't fuck around and then end up depleting your ki because you've slowed yourself down and like shot yourself in the leg, you know. I feel like that would be pretty dumb to do. As you can see, I've dealt decent damage as well. Like 3.3k is pretty good for healer, and I haven't even used my Boon of the Ascended yet, and I end up using it here. Just gonna deal as much damage as I can, although this ability works a little bit better with AoE, but it's okay for single target as well, and the final explosion is better on single target, so that's also important a part of it. That's something to note, like if you didn't know, the final blast, when the boon expires, will provide more damage if you're hitting only one target. And yeah, we're just kind of chilling here, heading into the hardest boss of this key, probably tied with Echelon, but yeah, it's a tough battle. This boss is really hard for us. The primary reason is, unfortunately, the tank is gonna get smacked here, and lack of self-sustain. Like, if he was the DK, I wouldn't give a two budges, but like this, I really had to do a lot of spot healing on him, and that is something that's very annoying, but it is what it is. Tanks just get massacred by this ability called, what is it, Stigma of Pride or something like that. So you just gotta be careful. Be very careful with how you handle this. And then of course the most dangerous ability being the one that's gonna happen soon, Ritual of Woe, which happens after he does this. So he'll Door of Shadow, he'll pull these, then he'll push them, and then he'll do Ritual of Woe. And this is where you want to use all your defensive CDs. So I've popped Rupture, I've popped Desperate Prayer, I've popped Fade, and we barely survived with the Darkness on top of that. So just be careful, be extremely conscious of the fact that this ability shreds. And when I say shreds, I mean really shreds. It deletes players. You need to be on top of your toes. It will deal a total of about 100k damage on a 20 Tyrannical. So just, you need to be aware of the fact that like it's almost more than 2 full HP bars of players, so make sure that you're ready for it. Make sure you have something for it. And looking now, I am actually pretty dry-ish on CDs, but we do have Shout, we do have Darkness, and I do have Kyrian Boon, so I end up casting Kyrian Boon. And here I should have I should have cast one more Radiance, but I end up not doing it, and we barely survive. I also have Tooth, which I'm probably gonna end up using on tank. Yep, there we go. Good Tooth, beautiful. And just, just in general, you need to be aware of what tools you have to deal with what mechanic, but once you survive that second Ritual of Woe, he's not casting them anymore, and then the only thing you need to do is you need to keep your tank up. And as you can see here, I popped the Rupture, and I'm literally just spamming it on tank. I want my tank to be as shielded as he can to survive that Stigma of Pride. And I'm aware now that I do not have neither Tooth nor Pain Suppression for him, nor Dome. I'm just a Shadowman spammer now and a Penance caster, and that is very stressful. And as I run out of mana here a little bit, luckily we get the nice proc, and we get the boss. Pretty cleanly, pretty clean dungeon. Not the perfectly played dungeon, but considering we didn't have a single, like, no Vantirs, I would say good job, team. Very well done. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. You know, let me know what you think in comments. Thank you for all the support lately. Thank you for all the new comments, subscriptions, and everything. You know, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more content, and I hope to see you guys again. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.